Nigel. No, sir. Sit down. What? All your toys are right here. Look. They're right here. Those books are not for you. I don't care. We have work to do. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, hi, hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess. My whiny co-host is Nigel, and he does not want to film today. Okay. So I apologize that he does not desire to take part in today's production. And I've always against forced child labor, so I won't make him participate if he doesn't want to. BRB. Child stars. Oh, am I right? So today, not feeling great about myself. Physically, I'm fine. Mentally, not so much. So we're all black trying to slimify myself. So yeah, I hope that doesn't come through in the video. I'm trying my best, but when I feel this way about my body, it makes it even harder to film. But I want to film, but you know, I'm just in this headspace, but I'm going to do my best anyway. And I do have some good news, some positivity to end the episode on. So briefly, I wanted to mention something. Since Shadow and Bone adaptation is now on Netflix, I haven't yet to watch it, but I hear a lot of positive things. So the actress who plays Inej, Amita Suman, who to me is like one of the best casted, just like in looks, besides Ben Barnes, of course. But someone sent me something from Instagram, and I also saw a thread on Twitter where she had a white stunt woman. The post from Instagram says, a white woman was casted as Amita Suman, stunt double on Netflix's Shadow and Bone, and her skin color and hair were altered to match Amita's. Why is this wrong? Are you telling me they couldn't find a brown stunt with the same body type as Amita, especially when the casting was worldwide? This was an amazing opportunity taken from a woman of color and given to a white woman. Not to mention they painted her skin brown and made her wear a brown bodysuit. This is brown face, which was done in the past to mock people of color about their skin color, and is still offensive no matter what the intent behind it is. Take note that they had access to stunt doubles from Bollywood too. Instead, they do this while bragging about the diversity of the show. This shows Netflix would rather paint a white person than give a role to a deserving person of color. Please do not troll Lee Bardugo, the stunt double, or any of the cast about the situation. They had no say in the casting. And on Twitter, I saw a thread that said Amita Suman literally became Inej, an assassin of otherworldly skill and agility, to break barriers and portray such a strong character. She was told she would never play a strong female lead because of her skin, and they made her work with a white stunt double with brown face.
I really just found out that they used brown face on Amita's stunt double. And people are excusing it by saying it's hard to find stunt doubles that are women of color. You know what the largest movie industry on this planet is? Bollywood. Do you know where that's located? India. Do you know how many action films that they produce in a year? Thousands. I would think that they would probably have some stunt doubles that would be willing to be hired to be in Shadow and Bone. And child, even if they had to use a white woman, there are a million other things they could have done instead of using brown face. Y'all disgust me. If you defend this, you're getting blocked.
So I just think that's really interesting, and I don't know what goes behind casting, especially for stunt people. I don't know, because of where they were filming, if there were issues with finding someone there or bringing them there. I don't know. I'm trying to be objective about it and say maybe there were some reasons, but so maybe they didn't look hard enough. I don't know. It's just not a good look. And I mean, still good for Amita Suman for getting that role. But yeah, the brown face for her stunt double is upsetting. This next thread I was tagged in on Twitter is kind of a follow-up to something that happened, I don't know if it was the beginning of this year or end of last year. Time is just kind of mushing together at this point. But I talked about Alan Dean Foster, who his books are now owned under Disney after they bought a bunch of stuff, because that's what Disney does, and how they were not paying him. So this thread references him, but then some other authors that are affected. So it starts back in November. We learned that Disney had pulled a breathtakingly criminal wage theft maneuver on one of science fiction most beloved authors, Alan Dean Foster, an elderly cancer patient caring for his sick wife. Foster is the best-selling author of some of the most successful movie novelizations ever, from the first Star Wars novel to Aliens novels and more. Thanks to Disney's monopolistic buying spree of companies like Lucas and Fox, they now own the movies and Foster contract. Here's where things get criminally weird. Disney argued that when they bought out Lucas, Fox, etc., they acquired their assets but not their liabilities. In other words, they acquired the right to sell Foster's work but not the obligation to pay him when they did. This is not how copyright contracts work, period. If it were, then any publisher with a runaway bestseller novel could incorporate a new company, sell its assets but not its liabilities to that company, and stiff the writer. Both Foster's agent and the SFWA tried to negotiate with Disney quietly on this, but they were stonewalled and insulted. Disney insisted that they wouldn't even discuss a deal without first getting non-disclosure agreements from Foster, another unheard of tactic. After failing to make progress with private negotiations, they went loudly public, launching the Disney Must Pay campaign. The good news is the campaign was successful and Foster has been paid. The bad news is that the campaign flushed out many writers who are also having their wages stolen by Disney. The company is stalling them too, refusing to search its records or volunteer info unless the authors can name the specific instances in which they have been robbed. In response, SFWA has joined forces with the romance writers, the horror writers, the pay the writer, SINC National, and the Authors Guild to form a coalition called Writers Must Be Paid. They have a forum where writers who suspect that Disney has stolen their wages can report it anonymously. There's a reason for anonymity. Disney's anti-competitive mergers, culminating with the destructive Fox merger, has created a monopoly with vast market power to destroy creators' livelihoods by excluding them for speaking out. The coalition has 5 modest demands for Disney. 1. Honor contracts now held by Disney and its subsidiaries. 2. Provide royalty payments and statements to all affected authors. 3. Update their licensing page with an FAQ for writers about how to handle missing royalties. 4. Create a clear, easy-to-find contact person or point for affected authors. 5. Cooperate with author organizations who are providing support to authors and agents. More broadly, I hope this brings more creative workers into the discussion about competition, specifically monopsony, the excessive buying power that happens when a company's dominant access to a market, which allows them to squeeze their suppliers, especially workers. So that was a little bit of positive news a little earlier. I'm glad that Alan Dean Foster was finally paid, because what Disney is doing is ridiculous because it's Disney. Any company doing this is ridiculous, and it's even more ridiculous because it's Disney. So I'm glad he's paid, but obviously there are other people who still are owed. I know someone's going to comment, so I'll go ahead and save you the time. I know this is how capitalism works. Capitalism sucks. It leeches, it steals. I hate capitalism, and it's shitty, but you know, the people who are in favor of capitalism, like, capitalism drives a free market and we have all these creative things and people can do all these things. Yet, so many people are not paid or underpaid. I will link this thread down below and the website that they have started, writersmustbepaid.org. So I'll have that down below so you can share information or go to Twitter and retweet this. It is unbelievable that they had to go to Twitter and make a public campaign, essentially, to be paid from one of the richest corporations in the world. It's disgusting. So I hope that you will read that thread, read the website, and share that information, so hopefully more authors can get their money that they're owed. So a new children's book coming out later this year, I think, or maybe next year. It's called The Bench, and it's by Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex. People are mad that that title is on the book. And it also is illustrated by Christian Robinson, who is an American illustrator. So this book is with Penguin Random House. It's going to come out June 8th, 2021. And the book is about the special bond between father and son, as seen through a mother's eyes. So obviously it's inspired by her real life relationship with Harry and baby Archie. In this article, you can see a couple of the illustrations done by Christian. And in a statement by Meghan, it said, Christian layered in beautiful and ethereal watercolor illustrations that capture the warmth, joy, and comfort of the relationship between fathers and sons from all walks of life. This representation was particularly important to me, and Christian and I worked closely to depict this special bond through an inclusive lens, said the Duchess. My hope is that The Bench resonates with every family, no matter the makeup, as much as it does with mine. Along with the physical book, she's also going to narrate an audiobook. So you're like, oh, this is really cute. This is great news. Well, of course, people are mad about it because it's Meghan and she black. And so they have some dumb shit to say. So there was a lot of positivity on Twitter around this. But then, of course, there were people like this troll. It said, Meghan herself isn't exactly adept at family relationships. She ought to have demonstrated her skills at how to get along with her own half-siblings and father before she wrote this book. My question is, did she actually author the book herself or use a ghostwriter? She wrecked Harry's relationship with his father and the rest of the royals. Meghan is certainly no doyen in how to get along with family. This woman may be very pretty and sucked Harry in, but she is also highly manipulative and embellishes. I agree with all of Piers Morgan's comments. Some other haters said this woman is incapable of original thought. The Boy on the Bench is a story about the love between a father and son. It describes how the boy learns to socialize confidently. I hope that Corinne Averess considers legal action, who is the author of that book. And the author said, reading the description and published excerpt of the Duchess's new book, this is not the same story or the same theme as The Boy on the Bench. I don't see any similarities. So sit down. And of course, one of the most miserable men in the world, Piers Morgan, said, how the hell can Meghan, I hate royalty, but call me Duchess Markle, preach about father-child relationships when she disowned her own dad and wrecked her husband's relationship with his? One, shut the fuck up. God, I'm so sick of this man. Two, you do not owe anybody just because you are a blood relation your time and energy if they're fucking negative and toxic as hell. You do not. And I really need people to get it through their fucking frame of mind. What her dad did, and obviously we don't know everything, what her half sister or whatever, them people seem miserable and terrible and out for money. And so that has no bearing on her ability to write a story about a father and son relationship, since she has a husband who is a father to her son. And she's obviously witnessed that. So that is enough for her to write this story. I really don't understand why this is a fucking argument, but I know why. It's because she's black. Maybe Pierce will write a book. Pierce, I don't give a fuck what his name is. Maybe he'll write a book called I'm Obsessed with Meghan Markle. And like that'll be his memoir. And he can really tell us his true feelings. Because I'm sick of this shit. Some other responses to the announcement of Meghan's book were this author, Jane Casey, how completely predictable. And someone was like, am I allowed to dislike this pair of massive attention on their own terms seeking hypocrites yet? Yep, this is depressing. It will take the shelf space from a really good book no parent or child will get to see. Jane said, exactly. Celebrity publishing is the forced canopy and the poor full-time authors are languishing with no light or air. And then their books don't sell, so their budgets get cut even further. She's been a mom for all of 5 seconds. Okay, less than 2 years. But yeah, time to share great insight into the father-son bond. The BBC website has a page of it with some of the poem and is utterly banal. People are such haters. And Jane said, I honestly don't think it's about who she is. It's the prioritizing of celebrity amateurs in a vital literary field. Lose kids at this age. Good luck getting them into books later. And that's all I'm going to share there. I don't think I'm going to be able to explain this well. And I apologize for my mispronunciation of anything. I tried to research pronunciation, but currently, as we know, there is an ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine, and right now in Sheikh Jarrah, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is a Palestinian town or area, that their homes are being taken by some Israeli people, some settlers, so people who have come over recently to Israel, some of the military, like, are legitimately taking their homes. I saw a video of like a woman coming back to her home and someone saying she couldn't come inside, and like that was her house, but they're taking it over. And I have a few threads that I've seen kind of explaining everything and giving some background. So I'll link that down below if you want to get more information on it. Please look it up because I am doing a terrible job. I'm just trying to give you a brief synopsis of what's happening over there.
I want to bring attention to what's been happening in Palestine in a neighborhood called Sheikh Jarrah, where Palestinians are being forcibly evicted from their homes during a pandemic. But instead of me explaining the entire process, I'm going to let the settlers who are going to be stealing these homes explain to you what exactly the process is.
We take house after house. All this area will be a Jewish neighborhood. We are not finished the job. We are going to the next neighborhood, and after that we will go more. Our dream that all East Jerusalem will be like West Jerusalem, Jewish capital of Israel. ואני רואה בזה המשך של המפעל היהודי-ציוני, המשך שיבת ציון, זה הכל, זה בא על חשבון הערבים, כן, גם בג"ץ והכנסת בנויים על חשבון ערבים, וגם המדינה כאן הוקמה, כן, על חשבון חלק מהתושבים הערבים שגרו פה. וזהו.
I've been trying to share on both Twitter and Instagram about it because it's beyond awful. But then I, separately to that, was seeing people just tweet about that situation. And then in book Twitter, I was seeing some tweets, like I saw this one that said, I simply believe if you're an author and literary agent who moved to Jerusalem as part of the settler colonial project and are ignoring the violence your very presence has contributed to, you do not deserve to go unscathed. Anyway, I have too many mutuals following Rena Rossner. So Rena Rossner wrote Sisters of the Winterwood, and she just had a new book come out, and that's called The Light of the Midnight Stars, I think. And I actually had this in my like anticipated books for the year, and is also a literary agent, but she's an Israeli settler who moved there to be a part of the colonizing of Palestine, and she is silent on the violence happening that her settling actively contributes to. And so in all of this conversation, old screenshots surfaced before she locked her account, and the first one I saw, it said, now would be a good time for a young adult Israeli/Palestinian Romeo and Juliet story, and it said MSWL manuscript wish list, and this didn't have any date attached to the tweet, so I didn't know where that was from. So someone else shared that she had tweeted this like 4 separate times, and between 2014 and 2016, so there's now would be a good time for a YA Israeli Palestinian Romeo and Juliet story. I know this might be something I have to write myself, but I want a YA Palestinian Israeli West Side story. I've tweeted about this before. I want a YA retelling of Romeo and Juliet set in Israel between an Israeli and a Palestinian. I really, really, really want a young adult novel about an Israeli-Palestinian love story. Give me a Middle Eastern Romeo and Juliet. So that's between 2014 and 2016. And apparently there is a book that was already written that has this storyline. So there is a book called Ronit and Jamil, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, by Pamela Laskin. The blurb says, Pamela Laskin's beautiful and lyrical novel in verse delivers a fresh and captivating retelling of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet that transport the star-crossed lovers to the modern-day Israel-Palestine conflict. So it just very much is colonizer-colonized vibe. It's like when people write, you know, like slave owner and slave romances, or, you know, like Nazi romances. It just... no. So people were being upset about that and interacting with Rena, but I wasn't able to see a lot of what happened because her account is now locked. Like I saw this one that said, how can anyone say this with a straight face when Palestinians are literally being killed and displaced as we speak? So much energy for something getting canceled, but none for the Palestinians being attacked. Really says a lot about whose humanity you value. And so I think there were like 2 people. There was Rena Rossner and someone else who both locked their account. So maybe if you saw those tweets, that's who they were referring to, but like she's locked her account, so I don't know what she was saying or what she said interacting with them. But just, I don't know why oppression romances seem like a good idea. And lastly, I'll share this tweet from Allie that says, a reminder that a colonized love story can never be considered a Romeo and Juliet retelling. There is no social or political imbalance between the Capulets and the Montagues. Stop using Romeo and Juliet as a cover for your bigoted kinks, you weirdos. Honestly, I don't understand. So, well, you know, damn, Rena girl. Damn. And last of the not great news before we move into the positive news, because my laptop is really dying, a thread I was tagged in about David Shelley, who's the CEO of Hachette, I think in the UK, and Clare Alexander, who's a literary agent. They were invited to speak at a Lords committee. They spent it complaining about how too many young publishers criticize the funding of racist, far-right extremists, and human rights opponents. So they have some excerpts of this article, and we have a picture of her that says publishing faces watershed moment on free expression, Alexander and Shelley say. It said the pair spoke on the 27th of April to the Communications and Digital Committee investigating freedom of expression online, which included a discussion of cancel culture and authors feeling they had to self-censor. So Clare Alexander, who is the literary agent, gave an example of how rampant anti-racism is crippling the literary industry. Oh no. So she says the agent gave the example of one of her clients, a white English female historian who wanted to write a book about Tony Small, a Black American slave who ended up as a man of property in Ireland and London. Alexander explained both American and British editors said, you can't do that, you're a white woman, we can't publish that book. So we were stood down before even this process began because everyone was so fearful. Having said that, she's a clever girl, so she went away and wrote a proposal about 4 men, of which he is one, and we sold it for a lot of money. Alexander also said that she believes a lot of young authors have an inbuilt censorship. She claims this is because young people are simply too eager to agree with others. Asked if young authors were coming to her with censorship already inbuilt, Alexander agreed but suggested it was a natural part of the younger culture, where people wanted to agree with one another. This was more extreme in the US, she said, where Simon & Schuster is facing criticism from his own staff for publishing a book by Donald Trump's Vice President, Mike Pence. What I think you mean to say, Claire, is that the younger generation has some more goddamn sense and actually care about human beings and how they're mistreated, and so they don't want people like Mike Pence to have a memoir published when he did nothing helpful to this country. But, you know, go off, girl. Let's see. Claire reports that for some mysterious reason, staff at Simon & Schuster are unhappy with the company paying noted homophobe and white supremacist enabler Mike Pence over $3 million. It's wild. Why would they be upset about that? And I will take a break here and say, so I know Mara did a live talking about can publishing be neutral, and I know some people have commented that saying certain books shouldn't be published is bordering on censorship and yada yada yada. If we're talking that a publisher like Simon & Schuster should be neutral and publish, you know, if they're going to publish a Democratic memoir, they need to publish a Republican, whatever. Fine. But also, why do they spend so much money on them? Like, if you're like, Mike Pence wants to write a memoir, cool. Well, here's $10K. Why $3 million? That also is something to me. If you are so about we need to be objective and publish all these things to get different perspectives and whatever, why do you spend so much more money on these than other books, other nonfiction and fiction works by less well-known people to give them a better chance than someone who's already known for being a piece of shit, but let's give him $3 million anyway? You know, I don't get it. There also was an excerpt that said and I think that's referring to David Shelley, he also said he did not believe there was such a thing as cancel culture. Instead, people were being driven by social media companies whose algorithms feed off conflict and drive decision making. People of all age groups were becoming siloed, leading to less room for contrary viewpoints, he said. So, to this point, I don't really think cancel culture exists unless you're like a marginalized person, because they often are the ones who actually are canceled and face negative effects for being called out for something. For other people, it's really like, let me go just lay low for a little while, and they come back refreshed and everyone's forgotten. So yeah, I don't really think cancel culture is that real, except when it affects people of a marginalized group. Also, instead, people were being driven by social media companies whose algorithms feed off conflict and drive decision-making. I do agree this does happen. I mean, that's especially Twitter. That's how the algorithm works. Like, it works to promote something that's divisive and negative so that a bunch of people can see it and interact. Like, that's what they want on the platform. But I think it's very oversimplified to say that drives everyone's opinion or thought process. And sure, there's a lot of people who are influenced by social media and by people, but I think that's almost like condescending to say that we all, especially in the younger generation, just follow whatever is on social media. I'm not saying that people don't, but it's just very ignorant to make a blanket statement like that. And saying people of all age groups were becoming siloed. I don't know if I'm saying that right, leading to less room for contrary viewpoints. And so again, I say with this that if we want to have all these viewpoints, conservative, liberal, whatever, fine. You know, I'm sure there's always going to be people who want to read these different things, whether they agree with them or not. But my big thing and why I had such an issue with it, especially with Simon & Schuster and their book deals with Mike Pence and Kellyanne Conway, are that one, they make these statements that they go directly against, and not like I believed that much in the statement, but I'm just saying they went out of their way to make this statement and pretend like they were going to be this all hail supporting marginalized people, and then do the opposite, and then that they spend so much money on these. Like, if you want to do that, fine, but you could spend millions less and be able to give book deals and promote other people while still being able to give him a book deal, even if it was 100K. He don't deserve a damn dollar, but even if it was 100K versus $3 million, you could just do so much more with that money with people you already have book deals with, uplifting them or signing new authors, because those are points of views. There's other points of views and voices and stories out there we haven't heard, and isn't that the point? What Simon & Schuster said, like, we want to share all these different things. So sure, share them all, but like, how about you spread out your money better? Whatever, it's capitalism, it all sucks. But anyway, I just thought that was a hilariously bad take by these people. Another one was, I think the people who are more having to self-censor are older. And so I think people over 40 and certainly over 60 are very worried about how they're going to fit into the current sort of culture. And they're very anxious about what sort of subject they can write about. So I think it's across the piece, but it's slightly different according to age, according to ethnicity, according to sex. Yeah. Older generations, you mean the more ignorant and racist ones? Oh, boo-hoo. And lastly from this, I'll share, Alexander added that although the world of book publishing and social media appeared separate, they were linked. When a book gets published, the online world gets busy if they don't like it, bringing up the outcry over Janine Cummings' American Dirt, which saw the author's book tour canceled. She said a lot of people didn't like it, and some think it was racist, and the publishers got an enormous amount of flack online, really personal attacks. So even though the platforms are different, they're very connected. Publishing remains somehow the thing of record that then online responds to it, and it can be absolutely crippling for people in the publishing industry when they receive hate for what they've done. And yeah, they're two separate things, but you can say that about anything, with movies, with TV, with media. Since we have social media, people are able to take their opinions about anything, a restaurant, a place that they visit, an attraction, anything that people do can take online and comment about it. So that's not like special or unique to the book publishing industry. And yeah, there was a lot of backlash online about American Dirt, but it still was a New York Times bestseller and still in everybody's fucking book club and everywhere. And so another thing I think I was talking to a couple friends about after my last video talking about Simon & Schuster, where I was saying really the only thing that we could ever do would be some kind of like actual boycott. The problem with that is that not everyone is going to do that, even if we were talking about somehow we got all of BookTube to boycott Simon & Schuster. We're not, but I'm just saying, as an example, there's inherently going to be people who don't, and then we're still such a small part. Like, it feels large. There's a lot of creators, there's a lot of people on Twitter, on Instagram, but our online bookish community does not have that significant of a impact on publishing. So even if somehow we stopped buying books from Simon & Schuster, I don't know if they would actually feel that effect. So, because if that was true, then American Dirt would have been pulled and like flopped, and she wouldn't have made any money, because that was a huge topic when that book came out. But still, she did, still very successful. So unfortunately, I don't think we have as much power as we think we do. We do have an influence, and we can influence other people, but that's only people who are watching us directly. And obviously we know BookTube is a very small part of YouTube, so our reach just isn't as wide. But go off, Claire, whatever. So that was it for the foolishness, and there's more, but it's close to lunchtime, so I'm gonna get into the good news. Okay, oh my gosh, if you're on Twitter, you probably saw this, and I shared it on Instagram, but Rebecca Kuang, author of the Poppy War trilogy, I don't know if you can see them, but I'm pretending like you can, which I loved, announced her next book. It doesn't come out till August 2022, but still, it's called Babel, and there's already character art. I'll link her tweet that has like the full explanation of what the book is about, but she said Babel is a dark academia set in the 1830s Oxford that interrogates language, translation, and colonialism. It's the secret history meets Jonathan Strange, enhanced by a heady dose of violent decolonization. Here's the copy for Goodreads whenever that gets set up. This book is a huge change in direction for me. It's more difficult, more ambitious, and somehow far more personal. Later tonight, I'll send out a longer essay detailing everything that went into it. She said there are actually 3 titles. In short, Babel. Also in short, but make it official, Babel, an Arcane History. And officially Babel, or the Necessity of Violence, an Arcane History of the Oxford Translators Revolution. She also said, absolutely yes, I am losing my goddamn mind. This is the sort of book I didn't think I would get to write, and I'm still sort of stunned that anyone is letting me do it. My agent said, why the 1830s? And I said, how much do you know about silver capitalism? And then we ended up here. Woo! I don't want it to be August 2022, but I want it to be August 22. So I am so hyped for that. And sadly, time is flying, so it'll be here in no time. Okay, also it was announced that Stacey Abrams, who is a queen, a Democrat in Georgia who has done so much, especially for Black people in Georgia, to get people registered to vote and trying to fight against these ridiculous laws that are trying to take votes from Black people and people of color. So Stacey Abrams started writing over 20 years ago under Selena Montgomery. She wrote romance novels, and so they are out of print. But Berkeley has acquired the rights to 3 out-of-print novels by Stacey Abrams that were written nearly 20 years ago, and they're called Rules of Engagement, The Art of Desire, and The Power of Persuasion. They're going to be coming out in 2022, so they're going to be re-released, and that is so exciting. And on Tuesday, when you're probably seeing this, her new political thriller, While Justice Sleeps, is out also, so we love this for Stacey. Goodreads is telling me I'm a liar. It says May 25th. I thought it was May 11th, but it's May 25th. So you gotta wait a little bit longer, but it's coming. More coins for our queen, please. Thank you and goodbye. I pre-ordered While Justice Sleeps. It's probably not gonna be here till June, but I'm excited to get it. And lastly, there is a book festival that's happening in May, but it's all virtual. So someone sent me this message, so I'm just gonna read it so I'm not butchering what it's actually about. It says the Festival of Literary Diversity, The Fold, is having an amazing virtual conference May 1st through 15th. Oh, so it's already happening. The virtual space is so cool that people just want to be in it. I thought people were exaggerating when I saw them tweeting about the space, but they weren't. See the images and tweet. There are literally agents and Big 5 editors, Canadian branch, just hanging out in the lounge, answering questions. It's a Canadian event, but only about 15% of the events are targeted specifically at Canadians, and Canadians attend U.S. conferences all the time, so if Americans can't wrap their head around attending a Canadian conferences, then it's their loss. May 15th is a whole romance day with Jasmine Guillory as a keynote. Standout sessions include an anti-oppressive copy editing one, an amazing nonfiction proposal. There are over 1,000 attendees. It's $39 in Canadian dollars, and sessions are viewable live or until May 31st. And so I thought that was really cool. And literally, if you're gonna see the images on the screen, and I was like, someone tweeted, said The Sims but make it bookish, and it's so cute. And now I want to go play The Sims. But that is so awesome that they have all of these different seminars and events that you can attend virtually, and it's going to be up until May 31st. Like, there was an illustrator battle. Oh my god, that looks so cool. Look at that. An illustrator battle. I think this is really dope, and I hope that more events that were canceled can do something like this, so still hold the event so people can still participate. Even if it wasn't for the Pamplona, this could just be a really nice way for people who can't afford to, or maybe they can't make it for different reasons that prevent them from traveling or attending something like this. This could just be a really cool way to do events going forward. Even if they had both an in-person and an online event, to me it looks so awesome, and so I just thought this was really cool. So I will put some links down below if you want to go attend any of the events through the 15th, and then the 15th is Romance Day, or if you want to view any of them up through May 31st. Super awesome. Thank you for sharing that with me. Finally, some good news, and I think that's going to be it for me today. My laptop says that's it. I also wanted to say thank you to all of you because I have surpassed 20,000 subs, and I really don't know what to do with that information because that is beyond my wildest dreams that I could ever imagine period, and especially in this time frame. So thank you so much to all of you. And I will have links to any information that I mentioned in this video down below. I also want to say that I'm always trying to keep updated links down below about events going on in the world. Try to make sure the links are active or add new ones when new information is presented, especially things that are going on currently in India, how they're suffering from COVID, events in Colombia and South America, and like the police violence right there, obviously what's going on in Palestine. So I obviously am not the end all be all. I try to share that information and have that down there for you as links for you to find out what's going on or donate or help any way you can. But you know, if you see this stuff on Twitter or you see it on Instagram, it's just always so helpful to repost in your stories or to retweet or and share so that more people can find out and bring awareness and also help if they're able to. So I also have links to my social media if you want to follow me on Instagram and all the things. And I also have ways that you can support my channel. But anywho's, I am working on a Patreon. Like, I have made an account, but I haven't done much more than that. I have made an account, but I would like to know if you are someone who's interested in supporting a Patreon, what kind of content that you would like to see on there. I'm thinking about 3 tiers. I think that's kind of normal. I'm really bad at this, and I always just put things off, but I'm thinking about 3 tiers and thinking about different things that I would like to include for content. But if you have any suggestions, I'd love to know. I feel like I already asked this in a video, but I don't remember. Anyway, check out the description. There's always a bunch of information and links there, but I hope that you stay blessed, hydrated, moisturized, and sunscreened, and I'll see you in my next one.